Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Paige and today I want to tell you some books that are similar to each other that have the same sort of vibe. I recently posted my part 1 to this video series, and because I just had so many books to recommend, so I kind of made it into 2 videos. So here are 6 more book categories, or 12 books in total, that I will be recommending to you today. These books I felt were just very similar to each other and gave off the same sort of vibes, so let's go ahead and get started. The first one is Torn by Carian. This is an age gap romance, and the heroine in this book, her parents had her when they were super young. They were like 15 or 16, and they, along with the help of their best friend, has raised her. She and their best friend, he's sort of like an uncle figure to her growing up, and then things change when she's grown up and she realizes that, you know, hey, she really loves him. He's the person that means the most to her. You know, other than her parents, he's kind of like a really best friend and just has always been there for her through it all. And she realizes that, you know, she wants to have a relationship with him, and she pursues him. And of course their love story is inevitable and they wind up together. But I really loved this one, and so when I read The Truth About Tomorrow by Celeste, it really gave me Torn vibes. So The Truth About Tomorrow is about a girl who is also has been raised by her parents, and their best friend is kind of an uncle figure in her life as well, until she grows up and realizes that she is in love with him and she pursues him. This is a little bit more taboo than the other one, because it does she ends up being with him when she's 16, so it's got a little bit forbiddenness of it. Of course there is an age gap, and but it gives off the very similar vibes, and so I think if you like Torn, you would like The Truth About Tomorrow. The next one is Culti by Mariana Zapata. This is about a girl who is a soccer player, and she has a new coach on her team. He is like an assistant coach, and he just gives off a really cold vibe. She kind of hates him. She idolized him growing up, but now that she's getting to know him and like sees how he acts around them, she just doesn't really care for him. But there is an age gap between them as well, because he is quite a bit older than her, and he has already, you know, had his successful career and she is just starting hers. And they have, you know, of course, both played soccer, and of course Mariana Zapata is very slow burn, so it takes a while for their love story, but their connection is built over times when they are kind of forced to be together. She helps him out. She kind of learns like some of his background and what makes him who he is. So when I read Waking Olivia by Elizabeth O'Rourke, I felt Culti vibes. I just felt like they're very similar. They're different sports. Waking Olivia is, she runs track, and he is also her coach. She has just joined this new running team at this new school that she's going to, because she's had trouble in the past and she is continuing to have trouble. She arrives for practice and at meets just exhausted and can't perform like she has been known to perform in the past, and he figures out why this is happening to her. She runs in her sleep. Instead of sleepwalking, she sleeps runs, and so he helps her through this, and their love story is so great. I love how, even though this was forbidden for them to be together, because of course he is her coach, their connection and attraction to each other is undeniable. And I loved how he helped her with something that she had no control over, but he wanted her to succeed, and it was just amazing. But I think both of these books have very similar vibes to each other. The next one is Loving Mr. Daniels by Brittainy C. Cherry. This is also an age gap and also a student-teacher romance. They meet at a bar. He thinks that she is going to college because she said that she is going to school, but he finds out that that's not the case when she shows up in his class at the high school where he is teaching, and he's very very distraught about this because they had such a great connection and a great, meeting, and he wanted to continue something with her, but now she is his student and it's quite forbidden to do so. And when I read Dark Notes by Pam Godwin, this gave me the same sort of vibes. This is also a student-teacher romance. This is about a girl who's going to this music school. She's a very, very talented musician, and she is falling for her music teacher, and he of course is slowly falling for her too. There is that undeniable attraction to each other, and this one is a bit more dark because she has had a really bad past. She's still kind of dealing with that. He kind of rescues her from that, so be prepared for a lot of trigger warnings in this book. But these two books are student teacher and gave me very, very similar vibes. The next one is One Moment Please by Amy Daws. This was the very first book that I read by Amy Daws, and I absolutely loved it. This is about a girl who meets this guy and they have a one-night stand. They met through some mutual friends and they hooked up, and now she's injured. I think she tripped and fell and she is at the ER. Well, he comes into the room and he is her doctor. They perform tests on her and they run a pregnancy test on her, and it shows up that she is pregnant. So he comes in to deliver the news that she's pregnant, and she's like, well, you're the father, because of course she didn't know she was pregnant, but he is the only guy that she's been with recently. That's how they kind of find out that they are having a child. It's a super cute, it's not really a meet cute, but it's a super cute way of finding out that they're going to be parents from just like a one-night stand. And so she moves in with him because he wants to take care of her and take care of the baby, and this is their love story, and I loved it so much. Of course it has that Amy Daws humor in it. And I had read Wrong by Jana Aston, and these two books gave me super similar vibes. Wrong is about a girl who works at this coffee shop, and every morning this businessman comes in and orders coffee, and she has a huge crush on him. They end up going out together and hooking up, and she winds up pregnant from him, and he's actually a doctor as well, and this is their relationship. And of course these are both accidental pregnancies, and it both gave me very super similar vibes. The next one is Bountiful by Sarina Bowen. This is about a girl who is working at this bar, and one night in comes this guy that she, is just very attracted to. They have a one-night stand, and then he leaves because he is a tourist just, in the area for a little while, and he leaves, and then she finds out she's pregnant and she does not know who he is, and so she's raising her child on her own. And then a few years later he comes back into town and he looks her up and discovers that he has a child, and so this is their romance with also him becoming a father as well, and learning that he has a child. So I read Lies and Lullabies by Sarina Bowen, which it gave me super similar vibes. This is about a rock star who is just kind of taking a break from his career, and he goes off to this little town and stays there just to get away from it all, and he meets this girl there, and they kind of they hook up while he's there, and he leaves and she finds out that she is pregnant and she has this baby, and she tries to find him, and of course he comes back later into her life, pursues her, not only her, but relationship with her, but also with his child. And the last one is What He Doesn't Know by Kandi Steiner. This is kind of a duet. You have to read this one plus the follow-up book to get the full story of how it all turns out, how it happens. But this is the first book, and this is a marriage in trouble. They are on the rocks. They have gone through so many hard times in their marriage, and they are just not communicating. Their marriage is failing, and then in comes a guy from her past, from her childhood, that she'd had a crush on when she was growing up. They really enjoy seeing each other. They both work at the same school, and they spend a lot of time with each other, and she feels a connection with him. And so she has to choose between her husband or her childhood best friend. So this is a love triangle, and when I read One True Loves by Jenkins Reid, it gave me super similar vibes because this is also a love triangle. This is about a girl who is happily married to her husband. They are very both adventurous spirits. They travel the world, and but she is now wanting to kind of like settle down, but he's not. He goes off, he's a journalist, and he goes off onto this trip, and his plane crashes into the ocean, and he is missing. They can't find his body, but he is presumed dead. She is heartbroken over this, and she spends years in grief over him until she moves back home to be closer with her family, and she falls in love with a guy from her past, from school, and she is engaged to him when they find her husband. He's been lost at sea this whole time, and so now she has a choice for either to go back to her husband or stay with her fiance. Both gave me super similar vibes. Both are great love triangle romance books, and I just love all of these books that I've talked about today. I think they're all great. I've loved them all. So if you have any super similar books that you want to recommend, leave it down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.